Hello, everyone. Hello and namaste. I am Akshat Malhotra, your teacher for this course. Thank you so much for watching. Till now, we've covered everything that is for you to learn on money, from the basics of savings and investing to budgeting, asset classes, diversification, financial planning, taxes, and even how can you pick up the right mutual funds to invest in. In this module, we'll focus on insurances, something that I've honestly seen people make the biggest mistakes. And therefore, it's my humble request to please watch carefully and make sure you do not repeat them. All the best. By now, you know how important it is to have a term life insurance. But along with the term life insurance, we must also have one more insurance, a must, that is the health insurance. Because we never know of life, right? There are illnesses are increasing today, day by day. So many diseases, new problems coming up. And so if anything happens to us, if we got to get admitted to a hospital, that could really be heavy on the pocket. Hospital bills could go crazy. And that's why it is very important to have a health insurance. But how do we go about choosing a health insurance? That's what we're going to study in this chapter. So the way we are going to study this is I'm going to introduce you to few of the key terms, few of the things that you must know while you're looking for in a health insurance. And then we'll take a live example and scan through a portal to see how do we go about looking into these various parameters. So the first on this list is something called as copayment. What is a copayment? So let's say if your health insurance policy has a 20% copayment, that means that whatever the bill amount comes to be, the first 20% needs to be paid by you out of your pocket, and after that the remaining 80% would be paid by the health insurance company. So let's say if you have a 1 lakh rupees of bill, 20,000 needs to be paid by you and the 80,000 will be paid by the health insurance company. And so, as you could understand, it is better to have a health insurance policy with as less copayment as possible. In fact, there are policies that come with zero copayment. Definitely the premium might be slightly higher, but you don't want to end up paying more money at the time of being in the hospital, right? So that's the first one, copayment. The next one is a sublimit. Now, you might wonder that a lot of times your policy is of, let's say, 5 lakh cover. But if you're admitted into a hospital and you thought that I need to be admitted for a period of 10 days and the room rent of every day is 15,000 rupees. So 15,000 rupees into 10 days, it's 1.5 lakh rupees. It gets fully covered in 5 lakh rupees and I should be good, right? But when the bill comes, it seems that your room rent was covered for only 50,000 rupees and the remaining 1 lakh rupees have to be paid out of pocket. Surprising, right? Well, that's where sublimits come into picture. Although your full policy cover is of 5 lakh rupees, but there could be limits on usage of various things. So which means that there could be a capping on the room. A lot of times there is a capping that a person can use only up to a room only up to 5,000 rupees a day or 10,000 rupees a day. And so whatever amount is above that has to be paid out of our pocket. Similarly comes for medicines and for many other such things, wherein the insurance companies put a capping and you're not allowed to go above that, even though your full cover, full insurance, the 5 lakh, it comes under the 5 lakh cover, right? So make sure whatever insurance policy you're choosing for yourself has very less sublimits, in fact has no sublimits if possible. Next term is the waiting period. Now, let's say if you have some pre-existing condition, let's say your cholesterol is high or you have some sort of heart disease and the probability of having a heart attack is more. So that becomes a pre-existing condition, right? And while buying the health insurance, you must declare all your pre-existing conditions. This is for sure. Please be sure, whatever you're going through, whether you drink, whether you smoke, whether you have any sort of pre-existing conditions, please do declare them, because we've got to be honest with the health insurance company. And only if we are honest, then they would respect our honesty and pay the claims to us when we need them, right? So point 1, please be honest. Point 2, coming back to waiting period. If you have any existing illness, if there is any pre-existing illness, and because of that, let's say, because of that, you get a heart attack within a year or 2 years. I hope no one gets it. Let's say I get a heart attack within a year or 2 years. And if a waiting period is there for 3 years, then my insurance policy will not pay anything. So waiting period is a time that the insurance company takes in order to pay for diseases that might be caused by any of your existing illness. If I am a heart patient, and if, let's say, something happens to me within 2 months of taking the insurance company will not pay. Another relatable example could be COVID. A lot of people started thinking that, I'm getting COVID insurances just like that. So as soon as COVID happens to me, I will quickly buy an insurance and then, the company will cover me. If you are smart, the insurance companies are smarter. So they put up a 15-day period, cooling period, waiting period for COVID diseases, which means if today you buy an insurance policy and if you get COVID within 15 days or within 30 days, the insurance company will not cover the cost of hospitalization. Right? So that's what waiting period is, where the waiting period is a period in which the insurance company would not pay for any diseases that might occur because of an existing illness. Next up, pre and post hospitalization. Now, for a number of times, whenever you've got to go through a surgery or any sort of operation, there are some pre-hospitalization tests that the doctor asks you to do. And then there are also post-hospitalization, right? After the surgery is done, there might be tests, there might be medicines, there might be, sometimes it requires a nurse being set up at home, a home hospital being set up, so on and so forth. So there are a number of things being done before the surgery and after the surgery. And so there are policies which cover these pre and post hospitalization up to 60 days, up to 90 days, up to 180 days. So make sure, if you think that, there could be probability of getting operated, make sure your policy covers the pre and the post hospitalization expenses as well. Next up is the restoration benefit. Now listen to this carefully. Restoration benefit means that, let's say you have a policy cover of 5 lakh rupees. And in a year, something happens and you get admitted in the hospital for the first time. And now that entire 5 lakh is completed. The hospital charged you a total bill of 5 lakh rupees and your entire policy, 5 lakh rupees of sum assured, is completed, is finished. And now you'd be wondering that, what if something happens to me again in this year? Where will I get the money from? I've already exhausted my health insurance policy. So in that case, there is something called as restoration benefit, which means if you've exhausted your health insurance policy, then the policy will get restored and another 5 lakh rupees will be added to your sum assured. Right? This happens only once you've exhausted the initial policy. So yes, once again, if you think that, there are problems, you have some health problems because of which you might be hospitalized frequently, or you might have to go through multiple surgeries, this could be a very helpful thing to have in your health insurance policy. Restoration benefit, something that would restore your policy to the full post you've exhausted the initial sum assured. Next, no claim bonus. So that's something which is given in order to incentivize people to stay healthy. So if in a year you do not go to the hospital, you're not hospitalized, all is well, all is healthy, you'll get a no claim bonus. It is generally either in the form of a reduction of premium for the next year or an increase in the sum assured of the next year. So the insurance policies want you to stay, the insurance companies want you to stay healthy, and that's why they give you this no claim bonus so that you don't get admitted, don't take any claim, and continue staying healthy. Next, exclusions. Well, exclusions would be as simple as look out for a list of things that are not included in the policy. Most of the times, maternity cover, dental cover, even eye care, ambulance expenses. These are the kind of things that the insurance companies do not cover. So when you are buying a policy, again, look into all of these things and then decide which policy do you need to go for. Okay. And finally comes top up. I'll explain top up with an example again, but top up is basically, you've seen a lot of policies have initial coverage of 5 lakh rupees, but then you have 50 lakh rupees policies as well. And I'll show you an example straight away. You wonder that there is a difference of just 2,000, 3,000 rupees of premium, but the sum assured is 5 lakhs versus 50 lakhs. How is that possible? So let's look into a portal and compare all of these terms that we just studied about. Just look at all of these terms. We'll randomly open up some health insurance policies and see how do we go about looking at these things, right? So again, no affiliations with any of these companies. We just opened up Aditya Birla Active Health Platinum Enhanced Plan. It has a 5 lakh rupee cover. Premium is about 5,618 rupees per year. And you see there are a few highlights about this insurance that are given on the first screen under the highlight section. Further, you go on to the features section. So here is where you could look into all the parameters that we just studied about. The room rent limit. So as you see, there is no limit. Up to a single private AC room is permissible. Above that is not. So which is good. Single private AC room is generally enough for us to stay healthy. Full restoration of cover. This is good. You get a full restoration of cover once you've exhausted your initial sum insured. No claim bonus, up to a 2.5 lakh rupees added for every claim free year for a cumulative up to 5 lakh rupees at max. Good enough. Good enough. I wouldn't say that's bad. Full claim paid by the insurer. Copay. So you don't have to pay anything from your pocket. Free health checkup. You get a health checkup annually free. Another good thing to have. Existing illness cover. There's a waiting period of 3 years for any existing illness that you have, anything that you've declared. Now 3 years is okay, 3 years on an average. I think the best is 2 years. If you have a 2 years in a policy, great. It goes up from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So 2 is great, 3 is good enough. And then you have about 7,800 rupees cash, 7,800 network hospitals, cashless hospitals, which means you don't have to pay any money there. The insurance company will directly pay to the hospital. What happens a lot of times when it's not cashless, when the medical bill comes, when the hospital gives you bill, the patient has to first pay the bill and then later on file for a claim from the insurance company as a reimbursement, and then it comes into their bank accounts. But with cashless, the insurance company would pay directly to the hospital and you don't have to worry anything about paying the hospital. So that's something which is good to have. Then again, pre-hospitalization, post-hospitalization expenses are also covered. This is good. Up to 60 days pre, 180 days post. Hospitalization at home is also there. Alternate medicine is also covered. Ambulance charges are covered up to actual expenses per event in the case of network providers, reimbursed up to 5,000 for not network provider. If there is a particular hospital which is not associated to this health insurance policy, provider in this case is referred to as a hospital, then in that case you get 5,000, otherwise you get a full cover if they are associated with this insurance. Worldwide coverage, domestic evacuation, e-consultation, discount on renewals, cover for organ donor. Wow, this policy covers quite a lot of things. And what's not covered? You don't have the maternity cover, you don't have the daily cash allowance, you wouldn't get any cash from them. Outpatient consultation benefits, which means if you're just going in an OPD to the doctor to take some consultation, that's not covered. And animal bite vaccination is not covered. So don't get caught by any dog or cat and get bitten by them. Right? So that's how you could look into all the features, and then comes the claim process. You could read through the claim process. I hope you never need it. And these are a list of all the cashless hospitals which are there near your area, right? So that's how you look into a particular policy. Basically, just go through each and every term that we studied. And finally, now coming to the one that we left at that time, which is the top up cover. Now you see here, this 5 lakh policy was for 5,618 rupees. And just going down a little bit, the 50 lakh cover is for about 8,789 rupees. With just 3,000 rupees of difference, I'm getting 45 lakh rupees more. You would think that this is wow, this is great. Now, what happens is, in this policy too, the base cover would be just 5 lakh rupees, but an added on top up of 45 lakh rupees, which means that once you've exhausted your 5 lakh rupee limit, then the 45 lakh top up would come in. In that case, it's a little different from the restoration. In restoration, you just get your 5 lakh extra, but here you'll get a 45 lakh extra. But in that case, you might have to pay a little more out of the pocket. It is called as co-insurance and co-pay. And so all these things, deductibles come into picture. I wouldn't go too much into depth in that. But the point is that if you feel that you or your family member is someone who might need continuous medical treatment, then you could go for a top-up plan with just a little few more thousands of rupees in premium. You could get a lot more cover, right? And that's pretty much how you look for a health insurance. Definitely, whichever one you finally filter on, whichever one you select on, do read the reviews online, see YouTube videos, ask your friends, family. When you're taking this decision, make sure you do your research well, because this is one decision which will help you for the rest 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life. So please be sure, please do check this thoroughly and then take your decision. But yes, with that, I must end this chapter on a note saying that health insurance is very, very, very necessary. And just like we spoke about in the case of term insurance, what if your employer is already covering? I would say, even in that case, even with health insurance, please make sure that you have one of your own. What if you leave your job at a certain time, after which you will be left uninsured, and generally the coverage is not really enough? So please make sure you have a medical insurance of your own.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for watching. I really hope you found it useful. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Put in all your questions in the comments. And yes, go there and let your friends know about this course, which is available absolutely for free. Make the most of your money.